Hello, everybody, and welcome to our eighth episode of Grain to Glass from Bottle ERP. In this episode, we're going to talk about HMRC reporting and integration and take a look at an example screen of ours. My name is Ahmad Malik from Catalyst ERP. So, getting straight into it, following from our last episode around LPA and duty tracking, where we looked at how we track the LPA, the gains and losses, how that feeds the duty process and the duty calculations on the fulfillments, the transfers, etc. That all leads into needing to report your duty. And we've got various ways you can do that. You've got reports out of the system, so you can see duty payable transactions, you can see your LPAs ins and outs, you can see your cash productions. So when you're talking about your W21s, your DW1s, you've got all that information there. In some instances, we've taken it a step further and done a direct integration into HMRC. So an example of that is our W5D screen. So this screen allows you to look at all transactions that it believes are needing to be paid for, depending on the rules that have been set up. At the bottom, we can see the list. In this case, we've got one transaction, so one fulfillment that is ready to be duty paid. We can see all the key information around the ship dates, the date of the transaction, the customer, the items, etc. And finally, the duty. From here, we can select one line, or if we had multiple, we can select multiple lines. Going through to the review screen gives us an overarching screen with a table at the bottom based on the tax codes to tell us what sort of products are needed and what sort of payment needs to be made as well. And this table is very close to the one in HMRC. If we then select the bank account that we're making the payment from, put in the reference that we're going to be using, make the payment physically ourselves outside the system, but then submit this to HMRC to log this with the system. This will then send all that information, the payment information, the reference, the sequence number, the duty, the transactions, all the key information that you would normally manually input automatically through to HMRC, and also generate a duty payment record automatically to manage this entire process. On this record, you've got all the key elements around who's submitted the total LPA, the total duty, the accounts, etc., that are affected by it, along with the actual HMRC integration where the request will be sent to HMRC. You'll then be put into a pending state. You'll get a W5 reference back. From there, you can then process it and track it all the way through until it's approved, depending on how it goes. What will also happen is that the system's going to close the loop and it's going to go through those transactions that you've selected and it's going to update them with references payment file so that when you're looking at the process, you can see one view of everything. And it's done two different things. First off, it's gone through the transaction, in this case, singular, and updated that with the GT status. And it's also linked it to the GT payment record. And it's also generated that journal for the actual payment to clear down my GT payable account as well. Trying to close that full loop. Because as you go through the process and as transactions hit the requirement to be duty paid, the system's automatically going to show that as a requirement to be paid so you can track the total duty required. And this is an entirely closed loop, fully integrated process. The only bit that needs to be done manually is the payment, but the actual logging, the pushing of information is a click of a button and the information will go across. In other situations, you also have the ability to export additional reports if additional information is needed, but everything is tracked and traced automatically within NetSuite by how it's happened, who's done it, and what's happened as well. So that concludes our eighth session around HMRC reporting and integration. Thank you for your time.